Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, good morning.
Shanti, good morning, everyone. We have Sister Joy also here. I would like to say Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Sister Joy. Om Shanti.
Good to be back with the family.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, all of you. Om Shanti, Sister Joy.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Sarabhai.
Om Shanti. So good to be back after some time. Good to see you, Sister Jena.
Thank you. Brother, I made a mistake. You have changed time, right?
Yeah, we just, in US, we had the daylight saving today. So,
Because when yesterday when I calculated the timing, it was still 8 hours, right? But now it's 9 hours.
yeah, right.
Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
for today. I may leave a little early
Sure.
because
Yeah.
I have some homework to do. I'm still following. I still study till today. Yeah.
Sure.
I am now taking the course of executive leadership in District 74, Toastmasters International. Yeah.
Sure.
So I have around 9 assignments to deliver by mid-December, and I'm very late.
Wow.
Procrastination, what to do?
No, it's always everyone, we all are the same.
Yeah. It's also age, isn't it? Thank you, brother.
Thank you. So we're all in that spirit of light. We just had Diwali, Halloween, and now is the time to invoke the winters. And we are looking forward to this whole festive season the next few weeks. And so today we thought to look a little bit deeper into the aspect of, we say, might of the living light. We hear the word light a lot. We know we are lights. And we hear the word might also. Like today we heard that light is knowledge and might is yoga. Light is knowledge and might is yoga. Means light is that clarity that comes. The wisdom that comes is the light. And the might is yoga. The power, might is power. So if we really look into, science, we say light is energy and might is power. And there is this difference between energy and power. What is the difference between energy and power? Who will say? So energy and power. We'll say I have a lot of energy, but then power is when that energy is used to do something. It's like energy is used to do something that is power. The capacity to use the energy to do some work is power. And so we say light is the energy. We all souls are lights. And that's how we celebrate Diwali, the festival of lights. But then might is when I'm able to stay light on the field of actions, the capacity to actually be that light in everything that I do, in every action in every thought, word. That is then the might. So then we often hear words like lighthouse, might house, which means a house of light, means light that is able to spread powerfully. That is might house. And this word, the other word is, we have might of the living light. The key word here, thought, is living. Living. And so one is light. We all know there is this physical light, and physical light has a lot of power. So can we imagine our world without the light? We cannot. Nothing will work without light. From the light we get from the sun, everything happens with that light. We are able to see everything in the presence of light. And so that is physical light. So that physical light has limitation because it is limited to the world of space and time. And when we say living light is what makes me living. So physical light will illuminate the body, for example. With physical light, I can see the body, I can see everything. But with the living light, then I can see the soul. With living light, I'm able to make the body function. It's like this body functions in the presence of the living light. When the living light leaves, the body doesn't function. And this living light has the energy of love, has the energy of peace, has the energy of truth. That is the living light. And so when we say physical light versus spiritual light, and so when we're celebrating Diwali, we're celebrating the light, it's about the spiritual light that makes me alive. That is at the essence of life, is the spiritual light, what we call as the living light. And so when there is light, just like when there is physical light, then the first thing that we are able to do in the presence of light is sight. We say, I'm able to see now. And so in the spiritual light also, in the presence of the spiritual light, then I'm able to see. I'm able to see with clarity. I'm able to see the invisible. I'm able to see the soul. I'm able to experience the world beyond. I'm able to see and experience the divine. So that light gives that sight. And when I live with that sight, then my every thought is right. Is right means that it helps me in my spiritual progress. It doesn't become an obstruction. It is right. Every thought, a word, an action. And then it's like when there is the power of right, means aligned with the truth, then there is that might. Might is that power that comes, means might is then how much I can use the truth, the power of truth, on the field of action in this drama. And so light, sight, right, and might. And it all boils down to, say, living. How much I'm able to stay in that living. Like, when we use the word live, living, then the other word we use we say is give. Live and give. So when I'm able to live in the light, then I'm able to also give. So living is connected with giving. And the more I give, the more I live. So live in the light allows me to give naturally. And that's why in Diwali, what do we have? What do we light up on Diwali? Yes, a diya. Right. And a diya is called, diya is a Hindi word, and the English word for diya means to give. Like that little earthen lamp, it means to give. Joy, you can use this for the slides. Yeah, slides to share. Thank you. Are we able to? Are we able to see?
Able to see, but audio not clear.
Catch. Is it clear now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we say might of the living light. Just like it's like this living light, and we begin to appreciate the power of this living light. So we say that dark is not the opposite of light. It is just the absence of light. Similarly, a problem is the absence of an idea, not absence of a solution. It's very interesting. Like we generally think darkness is the opposite of light. But the reality is it's the absence of light. So that's why we say that, if there is anger, for example, we say anger is the absence of love. There's anything which is dark, anything which is waste or negative. It is the absence. Like today we were hearing waste thoughts, for example, or that queue of questions. It is the absence of the light of truth. When there is truth, then there is nothing that is there left which is dark. So if there is a problem that is, making my thoughts move very fast and a lot of questions arising, it just means I need to turn on the light. That's why they say you can't fight darkness. Just eliminate the darkness. And so one is the physical darkness, right? Of course, we light a candle. But then here is the darkness, which is sometimes on the level of our thinking. Ignorance, we say, darkness. And for that, it's like today we were listening, like all the virtues, all the powers, all the secrets of knowledge, everything starts from that light. Once I have the light of truth, then everything falls into place. And there's nothing which is I have to fight. There's no struggle anymore. And so that's a very easy way to live life, right? It's just to be in the light of truth. And so we say, in the night, let me ignite the inner light. So if I'm faced with darkness of thoughts, there is night, I can't see clearly. So all I have to do is this, let me ignite the inner light that gives me eternal sight. So I can then see. It gives me eternal sight. And the more I make it bright, so that's what spiritual effort is ultimately, is to make it brighter and brighter. I make this light bright. Like today, we heard like sparkle. We said spiritual sparkle. That is when the light glows, and the light can then shine. So more I make it bright, then the thoughts become right. And everything, we call it siddhi, or we say sankalp se siddhi. Means my thoughts then have that the power of righteousness. The thoughts become right, and then the actions carry might. There is might in the actions. There is power in the actions. When we, heard, it's like for the actions to be unconditional, for the actions to be selfless, that capacity comes through this process. It all begins with that, igniting the inner light. And that's why, one name of God, we call him Jagti Jyot. Jagati Jyot. Jagna means just to stay awake. To stay awake. Jagna, to stay awake. That's why we say living in the light. So a living light lives in the light. Walking in the light. So everything, so living. Now then, my physical, I'm talking in the light, seeing in the light. So it's like the light of the soul is there. I'm not, I don't let go of it. It's there. It's like living in the light. That's why, we say these souls belong to a world of light. And so the more I feel, experience that we actually come from the world of light and we are here, and that awareness that I can carry throughout the day, living in the light. And that's why generally they say, especially on Diwali, the lamp, the little diya, they say not to extinguish it, to let it remain lit throughout the night. You'll see the whole night of, especially Diwali or any other. They'll say don't, extinguish it. Just let it stay lit. So living in the light. And so the more there is darkness of the night, outside we say lack of the spiritual powers, virtues. So the more there is night outside, the more my responsibility is to live in the light inside. That's why I say you travel light, live light, spread the light, be the light. You travel light. And I, the soul, am an eternal traveler. So I travel light. Don't make it complicated or heavy in my thoughts. Simple, easy. I carry the essence. Like, today we heard if there is any expansion or any pain or suffering, anything, but we heard just finish it with the essence of knowledge. Like even in the body or mind or anything, if there is any upheaval or any expansion, I finish it with the power of essence. Yeah. That's why when I travel light, then I can just live in the essence. Live light. Means easy also. Be easy. Like, we heard the power to accommodate. So it has to do with easiness. The more I'm able to be easy, the more I can accommodate also. And then spread the light. Spread the light. Like, today we were hearing about bestowing. Vardata, bestowing, overflowing, the treasures being full and overflowing. So the more I'm full within, the treasures can overflow. Means then it is spreading. Spreads the light. Spreading the light. And then the light spreads in all directions. So like we heard, 4 aspects. We say body, mind, wealth, and relationships. It like spreads in all the 4. Where it cannot be the 3 and not on the 1, but it'll be on all the 4. So it spreads in all directions. So spread the light and be the light. And so, they say in physical, in science, they say, light has dual character. It is like a wave and also like a particle. So like a particle means I just stay in that consciousness that I am light. And then wave means it spreads also, travels also. Yeah. right? Yes. And when we relate the word waking up with light, yes, I didn't change, I just woke up. I just woke up. Because, and that's what the spiritual effort is all about, just waking up. Again, this is symbolic of not to fight the darkness, right? But just waking up. So I cannot fight the dream, right? If I'm having a nightmare, right? If I'm having a nightmare and all different things, some animals, some crocodiles or some snakes, whatever it could be, right? A nightmare. I cannot fight the dream. All I need to do is just to wake up and realize it's a dream and it has no power on me. It's just a dream. And the same is with the thoughts. The more I find if I'm struggling with something or thinking about something too much, like today we heard another, the more you think, the more you go into expansion, the more you're actually giving it energy in life. And so I don't need to work on the level of darkness. The spiritual effort is not to work too much on the level of darkness, but to just ignite the light within, to wake up and to realize I am a soul, to realize I'm on an eternal journey. It's a drama, it's just a time bound little bit. I don't need to give it a lot of importance. The more I give a waste thought importance in my mind, it'll keep growing. So then spiritual energy is all about just waking up from the dream reality to the spiritual reality. Soul consciousness is all about waking up. And it is so simple. So I wake up to this reality of who I am. Who do I belong to? Why am I here? And all of that is very simple. And that's what spiritual light is all about. I just need to wake up. And then it's like these two modes of consciousness. So first is that we say asleep. Asleep. When I'm asleep, then life is a competition. Preserve yourself, look outward, feeling of lack, mortal me. These are the signs. And the consciousness is asleep. So I'm in the dream world. And when I'm awake, then life is a gift. Like, we heard this feeling of fortune right, this morning. It's like treasure store being full, overflowing. There is a feeling of fortune. Like in all the aspects, there is a feeling of fortune. Preserve others. So the focus it shifts on taking care of everyone around me. Look outward versus look inward. And rather than feeling of lack, there's a feeling of abundance. Like today, we heard about in every aspect, even in the resources, there'll be a feeling of abundance. Means I won't have to struggle for anything. It will just keep on happening, flowing by itself. I don't need to think too much, plan too much. In a sleep, then I'm just concerned about the mortal energy. The role, the character, everything around it, the mortal world, whereas awake, eternal. And God shines light on the eternal, and that's why in the presence of God, then I stay eternal. And so asleep is me and awake is we. So the focus shifts from just thinking about the little role that has been given to the soul to actually creating an energy. Like today we heard, creating an energy of unity. We consciousness, it comes automatically. It's not just focused on me, but it's focused on we together. So for an awake soul, we say awake. Awake, alive. We say a living light is also an awake light. That's why we hear words such as awake angel. Awake angel. It's important to focus on the word awake. I am awake. We're all awake. And so the job of Maya, we say illusion, is to make us fall asleep. When we hear all the desires or anything, you say just to make the soul asleep. Because then the attention of the soul goes towards something which is mortal and wanting to have it. Right? So it's like the soul is becoming asleep. The spiritual energy makes me awake. And that's why we had Man Manabhav means I can then very easily remember the divine. I won't have to make effort for that. And so when we say meditation is difficult, so when I am asleep, then meditation is difficult. But when I'm awake, then meditation is natural. Then there's no effort needed. It is natural for me to remember the one whom I belong to. There is no effort needed to remember God. Then there will be effort to forget. But to remember, there won't be any effort. And so we say, from inside the story to outside the story. So the gift of the divine intellect, that's how it just transforms. Today we are to the intellect. Where is my intellect going? So through this divine intellect, I just go outside the story and become awake. And that's why, the sun is above, outside. And as spiritual beings, we are also outside. Our reality is outside the story. And the more I just practice going outside, then automatically I stay awake. I go there, then come here, then go there, then come here. And it's so simple, just need to go outside. Take some time, go out. I be myself, and then I come back on the field of action. And on Diwali, and especially these festivals, there is an importance of, we say, Jagran. Jagran is the process of waking up. Means devotees will stay up whole night. That's what generally happens. That's the way everyone observes. We call it Navratri or Diwali or other festivals of light. And so Jagran is when the soul is awake, the process of waking up and staying up. And that's why we say wake up, not wake down. So I wake up means I go outside the story and I wake up. So down below is the world of, we say, night or darkness. But outside, we say, is the real world of the soul, the real world when we souls wake up. We live there. It's the process of waking up. And then it's just the spiritual effort is just to then stay lit, to stay in that awake state. How long can I maintain that state is then, that's called as Jagran, constant. That's why, where we say for the divine to be Sada Jagati Jyot. Sada. That's why in Hindi the word is Sada Shiv, Sada, constant, always. So I, the soul, am also Sada, always, constant, constantly lit, constantly awake. And that's why there is this importance given to the flame also. They'll say, the flame shouldn't flicker, should be stable and constant. And so when we say that mind, intellect, and impressions, so in the intellect, when there is divine intellect, I am awake. So I am awake. Means in the intellect, I am awake. And in the mind, I am aware, naturally. I am aware. I am aware of myself, aware of the divine, God, and aware of all of us together playing our role here on this stage. And then the impressions of being alive are there. Means those impressions of living and giving naturally are there. Because only when I'm alive can I give. And so awake, aware, and alive. I'm awake in my intellect and I'm aware naturally in my mind. And the more actions I perform whilst being awake, I'm then creating the energy of being alive. The energy of being of the store, like we heard, awake, alive. To bestow means to give. So to live, to give. Live to give, and give to live. So let us maybe watch a little clip. It's of someone who actually practiced this. We remember her as Dadi Janki. Really embodied this life of living in the truth all the time.
शांति। दिवाली की मुबारक हो। चारों तरफ दुनिया में, भारत में दिवाली का कितना बड़ा महत्व है। हमारे भारतवासी दिवाली खुशी से मनाते हैं। तो दिवाली से 4 बातें हमको लाइफ में देखने को, जानने को, सीखने को, जीवन में लाने को मिला है। दिवाली तभी मनाते हैं जैसे रामायण की कथा में दिखाया है, रावण को मारा। रावण है 5 विकार, जो नर का 5 विकार, नारी का 5 विकार, दोनों को मिला के कहते हैं 10 शीश वाला रावण। तो रावण 10 शीश वाला, उसको मारने के लिए पहले नवरात्रि आती है, परमात्मा से शक्ति ले। जैसे नया चौंपड़ा रखते हैं, पुराने को फिनिश करते हैं। तो पुराना जो कुछ हमारे कर्मों के खाते में जो बुराइयां हैं, जो कमियां हैं, वो सारी फिनिश। और नई जो अच्छी दिवाली आ रही है, नई दुनिया आ रही है, लक्ष्मी नारायण का राज आ रहा है, उसके लिए हमको ऐसी दीपावली मनाने के लिए ओम शांति।
Om Shanti. Thank you. And happy Diwali again. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time, presence. Anyone would like to share your thoughts? Most welcome to. Thank you.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om Shanti, Saroj bhai.
We are so lucky to have you back. It's very, very informative, beautiful class. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to
Yeah, you taught us very nice that when we have inner light, that I'm soul, then we have sight. And we have sight, then we can do things right. And when we do things right, we have might to live the light. And when we live the light, then we have to spread the light and we be light. Beautiful, beautiful way you explain everything. And Dadi Janki's blessing for Diwali was also very precious, very nice. Thank you for giving us blessing through Dadi Janki. And thank you very much.
Thank
Om
you.
Shanti.
Yeah. Good to hear you after long, after a space of a few weeks that we were not able to have. But then thank you.
Yeah, we
Connecting.
miss you immensely. Yeah, we miss you very much. And we are fortunate that now we are back with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
First of all, happy Diwali, happy enlightening of our souls. Very nicely put, nicely compiled session. I just learned quite a lot of things actually. Thank you for that. Thank you, family, for that. And thank you, Saurabhai. A couple of things that I really enjoyed was like when we say the darkness is not the opposite of light, it is just the absence of light. Similarly, we have many problems in the life. Generally, we overcome those problems, so that means that at certain point only the solutions were absent, and we strived hard to get those solutions. So that was a very nice analogy. And the other thing that I really liked was the diya. As we say that diya, we say that the diya has two things. Like one is it should not flicker. That means that we have adverse situations or adverse things going on around us. We should not waver. We should remain very steadfast. And second thing is that it needs some sort of oil or some sort of thing. That is the knowledge that we have, must continue to have. So that's why this diya should be remaining illuminated, so that we can have the knowledge as well as continue to obtain this knowledge, and should not flicker or waver in our effort to continue doing this. So overall it was very nicely put, and live to give and give to live is really nice way to explain everything. So thank you for this session, and it's really nice, and Om Shanti, and hello to everybody in the family. Okay. Jessica.
Thank you, Kapilai. Yeah, thank you for connecting, and good to hear you after some time also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Very nice. Any other thoughts, inspirations? Mr. Joy, any thoughts from your side would like to share?
Yes, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Ken, for returning and filling us with this spiritual knowledge, truth about the soul. Thank you so much. I really like the image, adding to anatomy of thoughts, anatomy of the soul. Do you call that a particular poster? Is there a term for that, just that particular poster?
Sometimes we call it the three faculties of the soul, that poster.
Three faculties of the soul. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the way you added, so for the mind is being aware, and for the intellect, it's about waking up, and the impressions, and it's about living. So there's so much in just those 6 words. One thing that helped me to really have a clear distinction finally between the mind and the intellect, when you have a divine intellect. I was like, well, what's the difference between the mind and a divine intellect? Is there any difference in a divine intellect?
So through the divine intellect, it's like the divine intellect is what is awake easily, naturally.
Yeah.
And when the divine intellect is working, then the mind is easily able to be aware of the truth.
Yeah. Well, so I learned this morning, though, sometimes when you use the word intellect, you're meaning ego. So,
Yes.
so that's kind of, that helps too.
Mm.
It raises the confusion between the mind, the use of the words mind and intellect when we're talking about the three faculties of the soul.
Mm.
And then, of course, the whole class today is explains what that means, the awareness, the waking up, and then the being alive. So, yeah, being alive and living in that light, that's the being alive. The awareness, of course, the awareness of the Supreme Soul and the connection. And of course, the waking up is the process of transformation. So I love that. From the first time I came in here, there was always something about that image. So it's nice now that it's still growing for me to be able to use that to explain things, really, and for me to understand. In the image where you talked about being asleep and awake, the soul, is the soul asleep or awake, inside the story or outside the story, and the process of from being asleep to being awake, and the Jagran, Jagran, that process of waking up. So that's the process then of transformation that's happening. And it's a process. And the reason why I say that is because that's why just using affirmations, just using positive affirmations or spiritual affirmations, what do you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, just using those is not going to allow for a transformation to occur because it's without the jagran, the process. And it's the same way, just using some sort of a spiritual program that somebody says you follow this program, and your life's gonna, and I'm sure it can help you change some things in your life. But as far as being completely awake, you have to go through that process. It's just that process. And so the process for us in the Brahma Kumaris is understanding the soul, of course, and it's the reality of what we truly are, and all of our qualities, and how we are experiencing life. We're experiencing, a loving, exciting life, abundant life, or not. The divine intellect. So that's how we begin to tap into the divine, begin moving toward having a divine intellect. The transformation from the ego mind into the divine intellect. So intellect ego or intellect divine intellect. So that can happen by just having having the gyan. I think, I'm not sure, because for me, the way it happened kind of reversed. You have to also have a divine experience to completely be that expression of God, that divine experience, that it explains why after I had the divine experience that I just started transforming on the inside, but I didn't, and it was just day by day, week by week, month by month. And it just happens because it's that jagran, that process. We can't make it happen. All we can do is stay focused on the light and the truth, and let go of whatever we're holding on to that's not true about what the soul is. So that process, the jagran, and in religious doctrines, you can't, this only comes by this, isn't. So the divine intellect moving, that transformation is it also, do we need a divine experience before we can completely just be one and healed? Because I'm always about emotional healing. For me, it was the experience, the divine experience that healed me emotionally. And then the Yan explained what happened. So
yeah, there's an important connection. And for me also, it's because initially when we, have good experiences, and the experience comes, when the soul has surrendered through that feeling of surrender, then the, experience comes. And so both are important. So when I surrender, then emotionally I feel healed. But then to make it, constant, that's where I need this whole process. Because then I got healed emotionally, but then after some time I can still have some kind of battling involved with some thoughts. And then once I stay awake, then it's like this is kind of a, like a roadmap that has been given to us. And that starts with waking up. And then it becomes natural. And then I become emotional, kind of, emotion proof in a way. Means there is nothing of the sadness or the pain or suffering or battling that the soul will experience, because then I'm working on the level of transforming my sanskars. I'm working on the level of using that energy in my actions so that then I can transform my sanskars. Because that's where, spiritual effort is then to transform the sanskars. For that, both are needed. So we need the emotions and that feelings of love for the divine that come through surrender. And then also that's why we have light and might. So light is that clarity, and then might comes by surrender. Both are important. Very nice. Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Om
Thank you.
Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Sister Joy, sharing the experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Cha. Great. Any other thoughts? Cha, so we have a few blessings. So Saroj Ben, your heart is like a diamond, radiant with the beauty of recognizing the value of others. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Shanti. Kamal Bhai, you're a mature soul who lets nothing come between you and another except love and regard.
Thank you so much. Very nice. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you. And Rajesh Ben, the feelings of mercy overflowing from your golden heart serve as the foundation for a kinder, better world. Each time through forgiveness, you have discovered the key to unlock all the beauty in the heart. And we have Peace 108. The heart is filled with a deep-rooted sense of dignity, which seeks to make things right rather than prove others wrong. Thanks.
Very nice.
And Sister Joy, you have a heart that is filled with everything precious, love, truth, and peace.
How about for yourself?
Okay, Saurabh, it says your face radiates with a serenity that can cool an angry mind and melt a frozen heart.
Oh, so true. So
Very
true.
true. Very true.
Very true.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you, family. Have a great rest of the weekend. And we'll
You too, brother.
see you again
Have a-
next week. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Om Shanti.
Thank
Om
you.
Shanti,
Om
everyone.
Shanti. Thank
Om Shanti, Sister Joy. Om Shanti, family.
Shanti.
you.